Hello, Sandman Nation. It is time once again to enter Sandman Sports. Pat Clapp, Bill Sanders. So great to be back with you both. And I got to tell you, I am pumped up today. Week 1 college football is in the books, and it certainly did not disappoint. The NFL season kicks off. Man, I am loving this. How are you boys doing?
Doing well. It's good to
Doing
see
great.
some football again.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
pumped for the NFL to start tomorrow.
Yep, it was a great weekend. A lot of great games, and we're going to get into all of that a little bit later in the episode. We've got another good one scheduled today. We'll recap week 1 in college football. We'll preview this weekend's games. We also have a new fun segment called Nailed It that we'll be introducing later in the show. And, of course, we'll do our top 5. This week's list will be our favorite bands. But before we get into all that, boys, this past weekend was the nice long holiday weekend where we celebrated Labor Day. And it got me thinking about working and the different jobs I've had. Some good, some not so good. So I got to know, what's the worst jobs you two have both had?
Ooh, I do
Oh,
remember
for me,
one. I was in.
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
I worked in a bank vault counting bearer bonds, and I'd have to go through all the bearer bonds and make sure none of the numbers were missing. And I would do it for hours, and it was the worst job ever.
That sounds awful.
Isn't that what they were trying to steal in Die Hard?
Yeah.
It was. Yes, it was.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's right. Me, that's an easy one because it was my very first job, and I was a dishwasher at Inglewood Golf Course in North Seattle. And I tell you what, I learned quickly there, you do not want to work in the restaurant game. Brutal. Eric?
For me, it was working in a duct tape factory, actually making and packaging duct tape, and it was actually the brand called Duck Tape, not duct, but duck. It was brutal. I actually worked there 2 separate summers in college, and it wasn't challenging work. It was just
You just felt like you were stuck there? Right, there you go.
Good.
Yeah. Bierman, do we want to address the elephant in the room, by the way, of why we don't have Pat Klett on
It's
tonight?
It's the best he's looked to our audience since we started this podcast. No, Pat was having some technical difficulties, and so he will not be seen today, but we will still get to hear his angelic voice. And
My life has been one big technical difficulty after another.
You sound great, though.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
you do.
well done.
Well, guys, it never feels like work doing this podcast with you two. It's a lot of fun. So let's just get right into it. We had an awesome week 1, lots of compelling games, maybe not a ton of fantastic finishes, but definitely some close games and a few surprises. For me, a few things stood out, and I'm sure some did for you too as well. So lay it on me. What are some of your thoughts from week 1?
Yeah, for me, Eric, my first thought was staying close to home. It was a beautiful night in Seattle on Saturday. I got to just complain super quick about 8 p.m. kickoffs, which is just ridiculous. But it was just an absolutely beautiful night at Husky Stadium. Took my youngest son, Will, and my 2 nephews, and just awesome college football experience. It was a great start to the Jed Fish era at Montlake. But I got to be honest with you guys, the Huskies looked pretty vulnerable, especially at the defensive line, and that was playing an FCS team, Weber State. I left feeling pretty good about the final result. The Huskies pulled away late, and it never really was a contest, but boy, it just did not look good. And just one other quick thought on the Huskies, this kid Jonah Coleman that transferred up here, running back, what a stud. You guys are going to hear about this kid. He finished with 3 touchdowns, 127 yards on only 16 carries. The guy is dynamic, catches the ball out of the backfield too, runs with power, low pads. It was awesome watching him. And then I'm going to just steal one more quick thing because I have a question for you two, if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
So how would you guys, or how do you guys deal with giant humans in the stands? Okay? I'm going to set it up a little bit more because we actually moved one section closer to the 50-yard line. And we're all four sitting there. Game's about to start, and the last two people that kind of filter into our row are sitting just to my right. And this guy comes in and stops at the two seats right next to me. He has to be at least 6'8", 350 pounds, at least. Super nice guy, knows football. We chatted, but what do? The guy takes up two seats sitting there. So it's me and my son and two nephews, and we are squeezed into four seats. If we have normal-sized adult men, there's no room.
Yeah.
So I'm just throwing it out there. What do you guys do in that situation?
I leave. I just go home.
You just pack it up right there?
Done.
It's gone?
Yep.
Bierman, you're familiar with the big house. Probably not the most spacious and comfortable seats.
So it's funny you say that because we have had some really bad experiences with that before. We're going to talk about concerts, or we're going to talk about bands a little bit later. One of my favorite bands, my wife and I went to a concert, and we're waiting outside to go in, and there was literally the tallest man I've ever seen in my life there. And we joked, oh God, that would suck if that guy was right in front of us. He was right in front of my 5'2" wife. And it was awful. Thankfully we were on the aisle, so she was able to move around a little bit, but it was bad. From then on, we really were very cognizant of where we sat, and anytime we could sit where people weren't in front of us, we did. So when we go to the big house, we actually try our best to get front row seats, so there's nobody there, and most times we do. Good. I'm glad you got a chance to go see your Huskies, and they at least got a W out of it. So the Jed Fish era has officially started.
Yeah, I think I texted you guys. I went to Wrigley to see Pearl Jam this weekend on a whim, which was awesome. But we drove through Madison, and we were getting tired, and we're like, let's just stop here, stay in Madison, check out the fans coming out of the game, out of the Badger game, and just it was nice to see that campus atmosphere for a big game. And yeah, that was cool. But the games I did watch, I thought there were a number of good running backs out there in a lot of the games I was watching. I like this Hampton kid from North Carolina, but my North Carolina pick, I think, is shot with Max Johnson going out, breaking his leg. He's out for the season. They can't just rely on this kid to break tackles. He's tough as nails, and he just runs downhill like crazy, but I don't think the future looks bright for North Carolina. But yeah, Texas looked good. I had no idea Peyton and Eli had a baby. Archie. That's weird. But I did like the quarterback matchup in LSU USC too. Moss and Nussmeier, they looked awesome. A couple of kids who didn't go in the transfer portal, waited their turn, and shows that they got to learn behind two Heisman Trophy winners, and they looked great. So I watched that game as well, and yeah, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
Yeah, that was a good one. You're right, though. Seeing Max Johnson go down, that does suck for the Tar Heels.
What a
they
bummer.
Could not move the ball. They couldn't move the ball downfield after that, and it's just not. Yeah. It's not going to be good.
Yeah, for me, it's that the ACC sucks. Clemson looked like an FCS team, really, against Georgia, losing 34-3. Vanderbilt. Did you guys hear me? Vanderbilt beat Virginia Tech and lost to another ACC team in Boston College. This was their second straight loss, and for a team with national championship hopes 10 days ago. This conference is in trouble. Oh, and by the way, NC State plays Tennessee this weekend and are 8-point underdogs. So it does not look good for the ACC. However, there was one bright spot. The Miami Hurricanes. Did you watch that game against Florida? Holy moly, they look good. Cam Ward passing for almost 400 yards. And I really don't think Florida is as bad as Miami made them look. I think they're actually going to be okay. I just think the Hurricanes are that good. And as good as their offense looked, their defense kept Florida under 250 total offensive yards. I think they're definitely the front runner to win the ACC and could surprise some people and make some noise. Although I will say Louisville, and I wouldn't count Louisville out, and I still think Clemson, they could turn things around, but man, they did not look good.
It was Georgia. Georgia can make anyone look bad.
Yeah.
And
it was 6-0 at the half.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Right? So
a lot of people were high on Florida too. And yeah, so Miami, I didn't get a chance to watch that game, but That's a good win for Miami. And did you see the Big Ten was 17-1? The one loss, the Dolphins to North Carolina.
Yeah. Eric, a couple things just quick about the Florida-Miami game, too, because there's a bunch of local ties out here, and I know a bunch of my buddies are thinking about this a lot. First of all, Miami, nobody likes him. Mario Cristobal, coached at Oregon, everybody hates him. Second, Cam Ward, transfer from Washington State. The kid's a stud. Kid is a really good player, and he's going to have a big year for Miami. And if he keeps it up, he might sneak himself right into the Heisman race, which is cool. So we're all rooting for Cam, which is cool. But Florida, if they struggle, Jed Fish has a lot of ties to Florida, and there's a whole bunch of talk out here in Husky land that Jed Fish will jump ship as soon as that Florida job comes available. So if Billy Napier doesn't have any success this year, they're thinking maybe they buy him out and Jed Fish comes down there. So anyway, a lot of tie-ins to that game that I thought made it interesting. I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of it, but Miami looked good for the little that I did.
Cam Ward came out of the gates fast last year too, didn't he? And then faded a little bit. I felt like he started fast last year as well.
Yeah, he's talented. I'm telling you guys, he's going to play on Sunday.
I do have to throw out one last take from the weekend because it has gnawed at me since it happened. And my last take is that Brian Kelly is a big douche. Did you hear him throw his team under the bus after he coached the team to another opening day loss, which, by the way, it's the third since he's been there as he starts the season? I didn't like him when he coached the University of Cincinnati years ago. Definitely didn't like him at Notre Dame. There's not many coaches that I don't like now that Urban Meyer doesn't walk the sidelines. But Kelly, he's just a joke. He's overrated. He's never won anything meaningful other than, if you want to count his Grand Valley State days a long time ago. He constantly whines. He constantly has excuses. Grow up, man. He's got to be better. I cannot stand that guy.
I hear you. Good take. I totally agree. The whole slamming his fist in the post-game conference, throwing his team under the bus, and he's had a pattern. I agree, Bierman. That was gross.
You guys are mean. What did he ever do to you?
Yeah, he coached Notre Dame, so I don't like him.
You guys are a tough crowd.
I got one more, just a quick one. I'll just throw out, again, speaking of teams and colleges I hate, how about Oregon? A couple things that just stood out. They're playing Idaho. Idaho's terrible, you guys. Terrible. And that game was a 3-point game in the fourth quarter at home at Autzen, and I was looking at the stats. Dylan Gabriel, who was my Heisman pick, if you remember, in our first pod, he was 41 for 49 for 380 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles. And they barely beat Idaho. It just makes no sense. Just baffling to me. And I was thinking that they had a great chance to win the Big Ten. They still do. But that was a very auspicious start for the Ducks.
I didn't see a second of it, but I looked at the stats too, Bill, right afterwards, because I'm like, did Gabriel get hurt or did he have a bad game? Are his Heisman hopes completely done now? No, his stats were great. They're fine, and they won. So in terms of Heisman, he's still fine, but they got to figure something out, or they're gonna lose.
I think they will. They got Boise State coming up this week at Autzen. Should be
that's going to be an interesting
game. Rebound. Yeah, agreed.
All right, guys, it was a great weekend. It is time to turn the page and move on to our next segment, and it is time to pat ourselves on the backs, boys. Wowzers! What a hot start! And I got to tell you, the best was the Saturday night kegger pick with the Wisconsin Badgers failing to cover against Western Michigan. Pat,
I was in Madison. You could smell the booze everywhere. Yep, it's all about the research
and the hotties in Tempe theory paid off too.
Was that a shutout?
Mm-hmm. No, I think Wyoming put some points.
They finally did late. I only caught. I think I joined around the third quarter, and okay. But still, it's too hot for them. They're going to think about transferring.
Yeah, 9-0, guys. You want to talk about coming out of the gates hot. You can't do better than that.
So I will say one interesting dilemma that I faced, and you both know this, was I had a good week too. If you checked out my best bets on our website, I actually went 5 for 5 on my picks, and
very nice.
And I did a 5-team parlay, and I hit the first 4 legs, and the fifth was the LSU USC game, and I had the under, and it was Sunday night, so I had some time to think about it, and I texted you both to see if I should hedge, and Bill, you said no, and Pat said I definitely should take the guaranteed money. I let it roll. I had faith in my pick. No thanks to you, Pat. I'm a little hurt that you didn't believe in me.
I just feel like I don't remember that conversation at all. I don't think I was there. Someone might have stolen my phone. I would never say that.
I like it.
I'm a gambler.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was just gonna say. Pat just nailed it. We're gamblers. We like the action. You got to let it ride. You just got to gamble.
Exactly.
I was saying to Eric in the text, I don't take insurance in blackjack. I don't hedge my bets. You believed in it when you put it down. Ride it out, and good for you, man. That was a nice hit.
Yeah,
in the first week. That was really nice. Good
job. It was a good one. So we started out hot. Let's see if we can keep it going, guys. We'll do a few more picks. This week, we've got college and NFL at our disposal. So we'll each pick a few games here. Who wants to kick us off?
You guys know my homerism knows no bounds, right? But I also say that my wallet speaks softly and carries a big stick, right? If you've heard that thing. So I'm going to be all about the wallet, and I'm not going to overlook the fact that the Huskies did look vulnerable last weekend. They're at home again this weekend against Eastern Michigan. We decided we're actually going to play a D1 school this week, and it's a 24-point line. And until the Huskies can prove to me that they're going to be more consistent in the trenches, I will take 24 points and take Eastern Michigan against my beloved Huskies. So that's my first stone-cold lock. I think the Huskies win the game comfortably, but I could definitely see 35-14, 28-10, something in that range this weekend. So Eastern Michigan plus 24. Pat, what you got?
I have one college and two pros, so I'll start with my college. Northern Illinois getting 29.5 points against the Domers. The Irish will come back to earth a little, and Northern Illinois they average 10 yards per play, so they can move the ball, especially late if Notre Dame starts running away a little, and probably pick up a backdoor cover once they let their guard down.
Actually,
because they can move the ball.
I like that, Pat. I do think Notre Dame is coming off a big win, big high. I think they're going to take a little step back. Impressive. Yeah. All right. Book it. For me, it is sometimes I like games because of one team being so good. And sometimes I like games because of one team being so bad. And this is actually a combination of both, in my opinion. We talked a little bit about the Big Ten. Mike Loxley's Maryland squad, I think they're going to make some noise in the Big Ten this year, guys. And they crushed UConn 50-7. They racked up 370 passing yards and 250 rushing yards. Quarterback Billy Edwards, he threw for 311 yards. He added another 39 on the ground. He looked electrifying. They play Michigan State. They're giving up 9 points. Michigan State looked so bad and so lethargic against a not very good Florida Atlantic team as they limped to a 16-10 win. The Spartans' offense looked lost with quarterback Aiden Childs. He managed, I think, about 115 yards passing. He looked uncomfortable throughout. The run game showed a little bit of promise, as it always does. I feel like they always have a good running game. Their passing attack, their overall offensive output were just really bad. I don't see how, with Maryland's explosive offense, that the Spartans can keep up. I think the Terrapins just crush it and post a double-digit victory in College Park this weekend.
What was that line? I like it. I'm curious to the Jonathan Smith experiment with the Sparties. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. That's an early Big Ten tilt, too.
It is. Week 2, it's a little interesting. Yeah.
I like it. It sounds like 12-0 to me currently.
So far,
we're going to try to make it 13-0 here. And again, I'm going to stick close to home here, boys. I'm probably drinking the Mike McDonald Kool-Aid more than I should, but hear me out on this, okay? Seahawks at home. They're favored by 6. I've seen it at 5.5, but I called it 6 against Denver. Nix, rookie quarterback, gets the nod on the road Raucous Lumen Field in front of all the 12s.
Bill,
I
you're
just think
stealing
Mike
my
McDonald in that defense. Oh, am I? Okay, good. Well, then we can both
same reasons.
we'll
I'll
double
pile
it up.
on with you too. Yeah, loud, raucous
Yeah.
Lumen Field. I think he's going to pee his pants. Yeah, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah. Yeah, and just a reminder for anyone that's listening that is affiliated with Oregon, Bo Nix, quarterback for the Ducks, did come to Seattle last year and lose. Just a reminder for them. So Seattle's not his favorite place in the world. And I'm going to throw this one last thing in, and this is from the Pat Klett School of Research. Seahawks throwback jerseys. Have you guys seen these things? They are the best jersey in the NFL. It's takes me back to my heyday of my youth. Chuck Knox, Kurt Warner running the football, Dave Craig slinging it all over the place. Just wait till you see these throwback unis, boys.
As long as they're not wearing the lime green.
Seahawks by double digits.
As long as they're not wearing the lime green.
I hate those. I hate those.
I also
those aren't my
thought,
thing.
I felt like if Seattle runs the ball and can just take the possessions, they have long possessions early, rookie quarterback, he won't be able to get into any rhythm. I think they can just run away with it.
I do too. I just see double-digit win here in week one.
So what I'll do is
go Hawks.
I'll make my other pick, and then while Eric's making his pick, I'll drown him out like I usually do and find another pick.
Sounds good.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
What do you got?
My second one, I had Houston laying 2.5 at Indy. If you feel like Houston is the better team and they're going to do some great things this year, then asking them to win by a field goal isn't a big ask. I feel like Indy always sucks balls, and Indiana as a state has nothing interesting going on. So Houston is going to stroll in, kick ass, not even shower, and jump on the plane and go home. All business, win by 13.
I like it. I thought you were going to steal my pick, Pat, when you started off with Houston there. But Eric,
Houston College.
Let's hear your second one first.
All right, so I'm sticking in the college game here before I jump over to the NFL. I love the over in the Tennessee-North Carolina State game. It's being played in Charlotte. The line opened at 58.5, and it's been climbing steadily. At the time of this recording, it's at 60.5, but I'm still all over it. Both Tennessee and NC State, they bring really good offenses to the table, and neither defense is particularly strong. Tennessee's defense lost 6 starters from last year. NC State's unit also is rebuilding quite heavily. Offensively, though, it's a different story. Tennessee's quarterback, I'm going to botch his name. Is it Nico Iamaleava? Is that even close?
Sounds good to me.
Okay,
Nailed it.
We'll call him
Nailed
Nico.
it.
He had 314 passing yards in the 69-3 blowout win against Chattanooga. And then NC State, they have Grayson McCall, guys. He's in his first year with the Wolfpack there, but he's a veteran QB. He has the ability to air it out. He did struggle a little bit last week, but he did attempt 40 passes. I expect him to throw the ball at least 40 times against Tennessee. I think they're going to be down a little bit throughout. This just has all the makings to me of a high-scoring, action-packed Saturday night showdown. I expect plenty of fireworks and think the over is guaranteed.
I love it. And I just throw out there, is there any bet that's more fun to make and root for than the over?
Yeah, it's a great...
In any sport.
It's fun.
Right?
I agree.
Yeah.
It's why it's actually a sucker bet many times. The betting public, typically, they bet a lot on overs and favorites. And sometimes, obviously, those win. But I do, when I really love it over, or when I really love a favorite, I do second guess myself. I just think a little bit more, do a little bit more research to make sure that I'm not just jumping on the public bandwagon.
Yeah. Hopefully you can watch that one and enjoy as they just rack up points all game long. That'd be fun. I'll throw my third one in there. I thought Pat was going to steal this for a second when he mentioned Houston, but here's the thing. Houston, I'm talking about college football Houston, they stink. They are terrible. And I just feel like Oklahoma is starting to turn the corner back to elite program, increased relevance again. Brett Venables' defense doesn't look very sharp initially, but I feel like they're starting to turn a corner as well. and I just feel like they cover this 29.5-point line and then some. Boomer Sooner all the way. This is a absolute rout, in my opinion.
Bill, you're brilliant, man. I got to tell you, if you check out my article on entersandmansports.com for Bierman's Best Bets this week, I throw out 8 games this week, 5 college and 3 pro. And one of my guarantees for college is Oklahoma giving the points against Houston. And it goes back to what I said about the Michigan State-Maryland game. It is a combination of a good team and a really bad team. And I love Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma is much better than they're getting credit for, and Houston is really bad. That is a really good bet.
Love it. Bierman, what you got as your last one?
Well, Pat, if I have to pick a different one, I'll just go quick. I think that...
I don't think you have to.
I think I do. I think you stole mine.
If
you
got
swept
one,
in there. You jumped ahead of me, and you stole it, Bill. Yeah. So I'm going to pick a different one, and so that we can go 9-0 again.
Yeah.
All right.
But I feel like Titans Chicago over. I am an over better. I hate betting under, which is research. My research tells me to always go over. But I feel like Bears and Titans is going to be just a shootout. I think they're just that the Bears offense it'll probably roll at home. And I don't think the Titans are going to run. They don't have Derrick Henry to run anymore. And, see if Levis can air it out and see what happens. He's got another year. He's got his second year in the system, or is it his third? What is Levis? Was Levis a rookie?
It's his second.
It's his second
year. Yeah. I like that though.
So
Pat.
I feel like
I think Levis is going to have a good year.
Yeah.
And Caleb Williams, I've watched him now in the Pac-12 the last couple years, and I didn't love the kid. He plays for USC. Not a huge fan, but he is talented, and I'm really curious to see how he does there in Chicago. Should be fun. And he's thrown to one of my favorite Huskies of all time, Rome Odunze. That kid can go get it. It's going to be really fun to watch, and hopefully it's a high-scoring one for you, Pat.
I think it will be.
Yeah, I definitely could see the over hitting there. I'm going to stay in that exact same game, though, Pat. I love the Titans getting the points. They get 4 points. In my preseason picks, I was bullish on the Titans, and this week 1 matchup only strengthens my confidence there. Will Levis, I'm telling you, he's good. He's got DeAndre Hopkins healthy now, Calvin Ridley added to the squad. Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears are fresh legs. I know they lose Derrick Henry, but he's getting a little old there. I love bringing in Pollard. I love Spears. And on the flip side, Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, they're going to be future stars, but I don't expect it their first NFL game. I do expect some growing pains. I think there's going to be a little bit of conservative play calling as they adjust to the pro level. Offensive line is not good. It's improved from last year, still not good. Their defense was one of the league's weakest in 2023. It has not improved nearly enough. And let's face it, this team was 6-11 last year. And where all this hype is coming from, because they are getting a lot of hype. Their over-under is 9, I think, for the season. I'm just not sure. Caleb, he's good. He was the number 1 pick. I get it. He's not going to be the savior, at least in game 1. It's going to be a close game. I'm actually calling for the Tennessee win outright, so I feel very confident in taking the 4 points.
I like it. Rookie QB.
Yep.
You just don't know. Game 1.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Sounds like 12-0, boys.
Guys,
18-0.
I think we're up to 18-0. I'm feeling real good, but we'll check back in next week and see how we did. So we're going to move on now, though, to our top 5 segment, and we try and switch it up each week, go back and forth between sports themed and pop culture themed. And so we are going to talk about our favorite bands of all time. So as always, we'll just go round robin. We'll start with 5 and 4, and then 3 and 2, and then finish with our top 1. Pat, why don't you kick us off, buddy?
Ooh, this is tough. I just put a bunch of bands down, and it's hard to narrow it down to 5. But
this was so hard.
This is
impossible.
So hard. This is really
impossible.
tough, and it depends on the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll take a dark horse here. CCR. Never a bad time for CCR.
One.
Always in season for me.
Dude, I didn't even think of them, but man, they are good.
Yeah. Love that one, Pat.
I know. It's great. They're great.
What's your 4?
Yeah, I got. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I got to do a fourth one now. Okay.
Yeah, do your 5 and your 4.
Yeah. Have you not been with us the last 2 weeks as we played this game?
Guys, I work for a living, all right? This is not all I do for my life. But I'm going to go, just because it's fresh in my mind, I got to go with Pearl Jam.
Yeah, figured that would be on your list.
Yeah, they're making a comeback for me. I was heavy into Pearl Jam in my high school years, and yeah, they're starting to come back on my rotation. So currently I'm going to go with Pearl Jam number 4.
That's awesome. I have Pearl Jam as my number 2. Seattle band, iconic, just cranking out hits, awesome live. So much to love about them. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Pat.
Their live show, they did, I think it was like 16 or 17 songs, and then they turned the lights on at Wrigley Field and did a 9-song encore. It was great.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Love Pearl Jam. Bierman, you want me to go, or do you want to fire off your 5 and 4?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Sure. So for me, this was tough, but number 5, I'm going to go with Aerosmith. Dream On is one of my all-time favorite songs. It's iconic. The video for Love in an Elevator made a teenage me very happy. And Steven Tyler's had more sex than Pat Klett has, and that's saying a lot. And they've lasted 50 years, so pretty impressive.
Icons, man.
Eric, can I make fun of people's picks, or is that frowned upon?
No,
I think it's encouraged.
It's yeah.
I had them on my top 5 worst bands of all time.
No, please,
because of all the sex.
Hey, exactly. All right, thanks for interrupting me there, Pat. Number 4 for me is, and this might be cheating a little bit, but it's technically not because it is a band. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Sadly, I didn't realize how much I loved Tom Petty until he passed away. But when he did, I started for some reason, listening a lot more to his music. I didn't realize how many songs this band made over a very long time that I just absolutely love. And I dare you to not sing along to Free Fallin' the next time you hear it. It's impossible.
They were in my honorables.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that one, Bierman. I love Tom Petty.
I also would have accepted the Traveling Wilburys.
Oh, yeah, Traveling Wilburys. That's going back a bit, dude. That's pretty good.
My number 5, Led Zeppelin. Just speaking of classic rock, these guys have so many hits. And they just hold up to this day, which I love in a band, right? So, just you could start listing songs and go 20, 30 deep. They just have so many good hits. So that's one for me. Never got a chance to see them live, but have seen YouTube videos and other things, and those guys could tear it up on stage. And it's just that box set of the 4 CDs. You could just put that thing on and play it and never skip a song, which is pretty impressive for a band. So Led Zeppelin's my number 5. I guess I'll use my Pearl Jam as number 4 because we already talked about that one. So Pat, what do you got for 3 and 2?
3 and 2 for me, I went with 3 Rolling Stones. I mean, they have a million hits, and they're always solid. And they keep growing on me. Usually I'll tire of a band, and you can dig deep into their archives and find a new song. And they came out with a couple of good songs recently. The COVID song, Living in a Ghost Town, was great. And yeah, so they're solid. And then Pink Floyd was my number 2. Pink Floyd.
Really
fantastic.
Good ones. Really good
on
ones.
My honorables. Yeah, love Floyd. Did you guys ever do the where you play Dark Side of the Moon and then you hit play on the Wizard of Oz?
I did. No, but I've heard about it. Have you done it?
Dude,
oh yeah.
Bierman, you got to do it.
I know. I know. I got to do it. That's so cool.
Don't use the remastered. Don't use the remastered one. I made that mistake once.
Yeah, and when the lion roars, the MGM lion roars, that's when you hit start.
Like when it roars the second time. Yeah.
Oh, is it the second time?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Nice, Pat. I love them, Pat. Great stuff.
All right, so for my top 3, I have gotten to see all 3 of these in concert, and they were all incredible. My number 3 is the Eagles. I got to see them about a year before Glenn Frey died, and past Eagles actually came on stage for at least one song including Joe Walsh, who I'm sure was sober and not high at all during his time on stage. They just have so many classic songs, and Hotel California it was a great concert, and love that band. And then for number 2, this is the Killers. So a little bit more modern band. I got a chance to see them at the Grand Ole Opry down in Nashville about 10 years ago, which, by the way, that is one of the coolest venues I've ever been to. Have you been there?
So cool. Yeah.
Dude, it's amazing. It's so intimate. Every single seat is great. There are pretty much no songs that the Killers have that I don't like, and they are just so good in person. And just as a bonus, I don't know if you guys know this, but they've stopped doing this recently, but for 10 years, the Killers, every year at Christmas, they put out a bonus Christmas song, and they were all very like Killers-ish. They were like Killers type songs, but they had some connection to Christmas, and they gave all the money for those singles to charity.
My number 3 is Blink-182, and this is one of those bands that I don't know how well they'll hold up 20 years from now. I know I've been listening to them for a long time. They just make me happy. I don't know what it is about the music, but it just makes me happy for some reason. And they went through some turmoil as a band, and they actually then just got back together and were touring again. They've had guys airplane crashes and almost die. One of the founding members had cancer, and now he's healthy again. And all around, it's just such a cool story, and the fact that they've found each other again and love playing music. And in 2023, Blink-182 on my the music tracking, where they look and they see how many plays, they were number 1 in the entire year of 2023 for me. So I was like, how do I not put those guys in my top 5? I listened to them more than any other band in 2023. So that was my number 3. My second one, boy, this was so tough for me with number 1 and number 2. I went back and forth, but I settled on my number 2 is Tool. And there's so much I love about the band Tool. But it's a little bit like I think Pat referenced at the beginning, where maybe it's a time period in your life, or it's like a mood you're in. For me, Tool is, if I just need a little pick-me-up, a little pump-me-up, that type of thing, I just put Tool on, and you can just absolutely rock. And I used to mow my backyard with my ride mower and just put the headphones on and crank 10,000 Days. And I'd be on the mower for hours, and I just let that thing just cycle through, and I just love it. My favorite song, we may get to top 5 songs at some point in time, but Tool sings my favorite song of all time, which is 46 and 2. I just love the band. And a bunch of cool stories there, too. Their drummer's incredible. Their lead singer owns a winery. I don't know if you guys ever saw his documentary. He grows grapes in Arizona, of all places, and makes wine from there, which is just a super cool story. Anyway, just a really neat band, and I've always enjoyed them.
Yeah, love Tool. Love the Killers. The Eagles are playing the Sphere. Eric, are you going to go see them at the Sphere?
Are they really?
Yeah.
No, but my brother just went out and saw the Killers. Actually, they played not at the Sphere, but they played out in Vegas like a week.
They do a Vegas show.
And that's
every
where they're
year.
from.
Yeah,
they
do a lot of Vegas shows. Good.
Have you guys seen the Sphere yet?
No, I want to go so bad.
Gotta go.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
What do you got, Pat, on number 1?
Number 1, Zeppelin.
Okay.
Zeppelin rules. And if you've never seen them live, obviously, which few people have, but you should watch The Song Remains the Same. It's their live show, Madison Square Garden, but they go back and forth between showing you the music from the Madison Square Garden and then these other videos. And one of the coolest videos is John Bonham when they're doing Moby Dick, and they're showing him, and he's drag racing in one of these big funny cars, and the funny car is firing up, and then his son, who is actually a drummer today, is 3 years old, and it's video of his son just jamming on the drums, and then him racing this funny car.
That's awesome.
It's a sweet show. The Madison Square Garden show looked
Check that
really
out.
cool. But yeah, Zeppelin rules.
Love that. Bierman?
Yeah, for me, so I'll travel back to the late 80s on this one. It's the epitome of my late teenage years. One of the greatest albums of all time, Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses. I love Sweet Child of Mine. It's probably my favorite song. November Rain isn't far behind. Axel Duff, Slash. They were the epitome of big haired metal guys who just didn't give a fuck, and they are phenomenal in person. I love me some GNR.
That's
awesome.
That's a great call.
Yeah, that takes you back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. For me, guys, my number one, again, I went back and forth with Tool in this band. This is definitely like maybe an older generation Bill Sanders, and as I've gotten older, there's the moments for Tool and some of my other bands that I threw into honorables and stuff, but for me, it's the Lumineers. And there's something about this band, and I talked about it with Blink-182, but there's just this, like, they play and it just calms me, or it makes me happy. I have a habit of making breakfast for the family on the weekends, and every single time I put on the Lumineers, and it's like my kids know that when they hear that music playing, Dad's making breakfast, bacon sizzling, and it's just those types of things, those family moments and everything. And that they just, and I love all their music obviously as well, and they just keep cranking out good albums. So yeah, the Lumineers for me, number one.
That's interesting. Awesome. Because I listen to a lot of my music when I'm cooking, and during COVID, I was cooking 3 meals a day, and I would do pretty much the same thing. My COVID band was The National. I don't know if you listen to The National.
Oh, okay.
They almost cracked my top 5. I'm going to go see them in Madison in a few weeks, and they're similar to the Lumineers though. Similar sound.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Not quite rock, but it's not
necessarily folk.
So I'll either put them on or opera when I'm cooking breakfast. Get the house fired up with a little Pavarotti. Wake everybody up.
You're so cultured, Pat.
No, I just try to be.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that was a lot of fun talking about our favorite bands. Let's move on with the NFL season kicking off and all of our 18 pools officially starting this weekend. We thought we'd spotlight one of our pools this week, tell you our picks, and talk a little strategy. So today, in honor of the NFL, we're going to talk about our 2 diff pool. This is a pretty straightforward one, where each week you pick 2 teams, and whatever their differential is, you get those points. So if you pick the Cardinals and they win by 20 points, and you pick the 49ers and they win by 10, you got 30 points that week. But if they lost by those same scores, then you're going to get negative 30 points. Oh, and by the way, you can only pick each team once, so there's definitely a lot of strategy and planning here. So, Pat, Bill, how do you guys approach this pool, and what do you like this week?
So for me, I'm not personally playing this pool because that requires a ton of research, and ain't nobody got time for that shit except for Swarty. So I picked the 6. So for me, how I would go about it, I would probably pick the 6 worst teams and try to figure out the best opportunities throughout the season. So I'm looking at Carolina, New England, Tennessee, Washington, Denver, and the New York Football Giants. Those are pretty much, I think, Vegas odds to have the worst season. So, like, I went through and I was just looking today quickly. Panthers have the Giants at home, November 10. And you got New England at the Titans, November 3rd. But they might be so bad, it might be better to pick them away from home, New England on the road, because they want to get the hell out of there. But they go to the Giants, they go to the Titans in November 3rd. But, I mean, so you're always just trying to find these. I think for me, I would pick the worst teams and see where we can get, where we can get them in what weeks. I know Washington hosts the Giants week 2. Denver has the Raiders and the Panthers. So I think if you can find weak teams in weak divisions, it could be easier to pick since they play each other twice. But this is a difficult pool for me. I'm intrigued, but not going to bite this year. I want to maybe watch it go down and see how it goes and check the results. But for me, I'm definitely intrigued. But I feel like you could also maybe try to use bad weather teams early so you aren't having to use them during a December snowstorm. But there's so much to consider with this one. I'm curious to hear what you guys say.
I think, Pat, you just nailed one of the consistent game theory routes that people take, and that is to find that terrible team and then try to limit the damage. So find that matchup. And you mentioned the Giants. It might be Giants Vikes in week 1, right? Maybe the Vikes is somebody that you would I'm sorry, the Giants, you'd pick the Giants in hopes that it's a close game. I think the spread was 1.5, if I saw right, but the Giants are at home. So yeah, that's something that a lot of people try to do. I think, and I've actually had some success in this one over the years. For me, I think the biggest thing is don't overthink it. When you have a Cincinnati playing New England at home in week 1, take the Bengals. I'm guessing that all of us might put that at the top of our list. They're the biggest favorite of the week, and I just feel don't overcomplicate it. When you get a gift like this week with the Bengals, I'd be on the Bengals. So Bierman, how about you?
Yeah, so I think there's two different routes here that you could go. So I do always try and look at, Pat, teams that I think are going to be bad this season, looking at a week where they might be favored or even a slight underdog. Sometimes I might take them just to get them out of the way if I think in other cases they're going to be a much less chance to win the game. But then there's the other thing, Bill, that you just said, just teams that you just, regardless if they're good or bad, if they're in a good spot and you think they're going to win by a lot, get them out of the way and take them. And so for this week, like I really like the Bengals and I really like the Falcons, actually, even though they're only given 3. If we go the other route where we look for teams that might not be great but are in good spots, I actually do like the Seahawks this week. I know you both really like them. You may not agree with me calling them a bad team, and I don't know if they're bad, but I don't know that they're going to be favored often by 6 points or more, and they are
Agreed.
At home, so I like that. And I also like the Saints. They're not going to be good this year. They get a bad Panthers team at home at the Superdome, and I think they could roll.
Yeah, Eric, you hit every single one that I wrote down.
Good.
Yeah, for me, I have Seattle as my number 2 pick after Cincinnati, and I also, just because the Seahawks have broke my heart so many times, it's nice to get them out of the way early in this pool. The one that I would avoid this week, I worry a little bit about the Niners. I know they're home, Monday Night Football, but you got Aaron Rodgers coming into town with the Jets, Jets. Does he blow out his second Achilles? I hope not, and hopefully he stays healthy. And I think they give the Niners a game. They got Ayuk signed, they got Trent Williams signed, but those guys haven't been in camp. They haven't been participating. They might take a little bit of time to get rolling. So that would be one that I would be maybe a little bit nervous for a decent favorite. I think they were 4 or 4.5.
And I thought I heard Trent Williams went down and might be out, which is they're a completely different team.
I didn't know that.
With him not on the line.
Look at Pat bringing the big
that's
news.
Research right
you
there.
heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Yeah.
Dude,
I thought he just signed and
kind of banged up.
Yeah,
McCaffrey's kind of dinged up too, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this one's fun. Pat, I hear you on it's hard to play them all. I do think that people have had the most success when they try not to overthink this one.
It's good advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Take the gifts when you get them. It's big.
Yeah, I do think the Bengals big on this one. I will say one team, I agree with 49ers could be a letdown. I also am a little nervous about the Bills this week. I am just not sure what to expect with Arizona. I think they could be much better than they were last year, and Buffalo has a lot of changes, especially on their offense. So I could actually see Arizona surprising the Bills.
Me too, and Buffalo's the second biggest favorite.
Yep. I love that pool. Excited for that one to start. Let's move on to one of our last segments of the day. Our listeners know that Pat has led us in a segment the last few weeks called First Thought, Best Thought. We are definitely not retiring that. It's a very popular segment, and we are going to bring it back occasionally every few weeks. But we are going to introduce a new segment today called Nate, and that is going to be led by our very own Sandman. So, Bill, why don't you share a little bit more details about this segment?
Yeah, I'm excited, guys. This is fun. We were thinking about how we could do a contest between the three of us. You know, it's a consistent segment that we can bring to the podcast every week. It's a closest to the pin type competition where I'll pose 5 questions to these boys. I'll answer them as well. A bullseye will count as 2 points, and then the closest to the pin is 1 point. So it's very simple. I'll pose the question. I'll give a little bit of context so that we all have kind of the information as I was researching it. And then the three of us are going to text in real time into the Sandman podcast chat And so we will be answering those questions and then let you guys know what we picked. And we wanted this to have something we wanted to have something really good on the line. And so I don't remember which one of the three of us came up with it, but we all three thought it was brilliant. And
it was Pat, by the way. Let's give Pat credit on this one. Yeah.
Pat, shout out. It was a great idea. We want to get together, and so this contest will help that happen. We're going to play it this season, if you will. We'll run through the Super Bowl. The person with the most points will be declared the winner and will host the other two gentlemen in their home city. Eric being a Cincy guy, Pat being in Chanhassen, which is just outside of Minneapolis, and then I'm a Seattle guy. So we'll bring everybody together and we'll hit up one of our favorite restaurants in the home city. And then the losers will buy food and drinks for the winner. So it should be a lot of fun. One thing I did want to just call out, Pat, the Taco Bell just off 78th Street in Chanhassen, that doesn't count.
Oh.
Okay.
Wait, now that I know that if you come here, that means you're buying, right? Yeah, we're going to Manny's. Fogo de Chao.
We can do Fogo de Chao. We can eat meat off of a skewer like crazy. Raise the paddle. Isn't that what that place is? Yeah, that place is delicious. We have one in Bellevue, Washington here.
And when I win, just to clarify, do I need to put you both up in my house, or can we put Pat up at the Days Inn down the road?
It depends on what you're wanting to eat and drink. If you're going top shelf, then we probably will want to sleep in your basement. Okay. Be nice and cheap. But we're really looking forward to this, guys. And we'll get into the picks here, and we'll do this every week. And it's just a really fun way for us to banter. And one thing that we really want to do is encourage our listeners and viewers on YouTube to play along with us. So we're going to start that up next week, and we'll have a bunch more details to follow there. But our idea there is that the person that does the best between Sandman Nation as a separate competition, we will also invite to attend this dinner and this hang.
It's more of a gala.
And it is gala. And it's going to be on us. It's going to be on us. So we'll have more details for you guys next week on that, but we're really looking forward to this contest. Think it's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys ready? Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so you got your phone.
I got my phone.
Okay, Pat, you ready? Okay. All right, so we're going to do 5 questions. They're not always going to be sports. Okay, but the first couple we're going to stick to college football. All right, and then when I read the question and I give you guys a little bit, I'm going to give you a second to think about it as well, so you don't have to just fire.
How do I answer on a rotary phone?
If tap your table, since we can't see you, just tap your table in Morse code, and we'll end. Yeah, okay. All right, so question number 1. This is the first question ever in this new segment. Nailed it. Okay, here we go. This weekend, top matchup in college football, in my opinion, is, and I don't know if the rankings still are the same, that maybe there was some movement there, but we're going to go with number 4 Texas at the Big House against number 9 Michigan. Okay, the first question is total rushing yards in the game. Total rushing yards for both teams. Okay, so take a second and think about it. Total rushing yards in the game. And then are you guys both ready? I'll count down and we'll hit send so that we don't know what each other's answers are.
I'm ready.
Yep. You guys both ready? All right, 3, 2, 1, go. So we were all really close. Pat guessed 249 yards. I guessed 278 yards. And Bierman guessed 212 yards. Okay, so that's question 1. Question 2. We're going to stick to college football and go to Charlotte, North Carolina, where Eric already mentioned this game. We've got number 15 Tennessee traveling over there to play number 24 NC State. The question is, what will the total points be in this game? And the line is currently at 56.5. Okay, so total points, Tennessee versus NC State. Remember, if you get the...
I do just want to... It may have opened at that. It is at 16.5.
Oh, that's right, because that's the one that you had the over. Do we want to call it 6? Let's just throw that out there, that the line has moved to 16.5. Yeah, thanks, Bierman.
Yeah.
Because when I pulled these together, that was...
Sure. No, it opened.
Opening lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys... 3, 2, 1, send it.
Ooh.
All right, so Bierman loves his over. He's at 69.
Yeah, 69.
Pat Klett, 68. Sandman, 63. Okay, so I'm looking for I'm looking for the defensive battle of 63 points. All right, so question 2. All right, I think we're going to have some fun with this third question. Okay, we mentioned this earlier as well, but Boise State Smurf Turf is actually traveling to Autzen to face number 3 Oregon if they didn't move down after that pathetic performance against Idaho. What will the attendance be?
I think they moved to 7.
They did. What'd they go down to?
Like 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. They should. They should just keep moving down all season. What will the attendance be at Autzen Stadium? Okay, now here's some facts for you guys. The capacity at Autzen, by the way, awesome college stadium. So fun. Really cool venue. Capacity is 54,000. The average 2023 attendance was 55,809, and the record attendance was 60,055 in 2011 versus Arizona State and all the hotties, okay, that traveled up to Autzen, probably got rained on. So what will the attendance be? Boise State at Oregon at Autzen. You guys you're good, or do you need the facts again? I'm gonna 3, 2, 1, send it. Whoa, I went the largest here. Pat went 49,999. Eric 56,121. Sandman 58,888. Okay, so we'll see what that one is. All right. Fourth question. We're gonna head to the hardwood. We're gonna mix it up a little bit. We are going to throw in a Caitlin Clark question. Okay, so a little WNBA love. And this game will be played on 9/6. Okay? The Indiana Fever are playing the Lynx. Caitlin Clark currently averages 18.4 points per game. I was stunned to see this, but she's not even the leading scorer on the Fever. There actually is Kelsey Mitchell scores 18.5 points per game.
Wow.
The last 5 games for Caitlin Clark, she has scored 31 points, 19, 19, 23, and 23. Okay, so Caitlin Clark against the Lynx.
Are you asking how many points she's going to have?
Yeah, how many points? You got 3, 2, 1, send it. Pat Klett, 0 points.
Shout out.
Eric
You're playing the
22.
Lynx. Yeah, you can't. The Lady Lynx.
They D up.
Yep.
They D up. That's right. Bierman threw out 22 and Sandman 27. Okay, I think Caitlin's ready to have a big game.
So if she only puts up 10, I'll win, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be closest. Mm-hmm. Okay, fifth and final question. I'm going to go to each one of our home cities here for this last question. We're looking at an NFL question that combines all of our favorite cities and home football teams, okay? This is going to be the total points scored in the Seattle versus Denver game, Cincy versus New England, and Minnesota at the Giants. Okay, now let me give you the overs on those. They're all look to be low-scoring affairs. So the Seahawks, 41.5. Cincinnati versus New England, 40.5. Minnesota at New York Giants, 41.5. Okay, so you got to do a little quick math. 3 games, total points scored. And are you guys ready?
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second.
Do you need a calculator?
Okay. Get out the abacus, Bierman.
I got to do my math. Okay. I'm ready.
Good?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, send it. Okay. Looking for defense in week 1, 112 points total. Pat Klett, 131. Sandman, 135.
You guys like the overs. A lot of points here.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good. That's the general public. Always taking the overs. Yeah.
This segment, what we'll do each week is we'll track these picks. We'll post the records, and we'll talk about it in the next segment, or the Nailed It segment next week. And we'll just keep doing this every week, and we'll just keep track and let you guys know where we stand. It's a really fun way just to mix up sports and non-sports things and have a good time with it. And then, like I said, more info to come If you're interested at all in participating and you want more details in Nailed It for Sandman Nation, email us at info@entersandmansports.com. Okay, and we can fill you in on some of the details. But we'd love to have all you guys play along with us, competing against each other to see who's going to come to Seattle after the Super Bowl and go to the Met for an amazing steak meal. Okay,
I hope I lose.
I
hope I lose.
Last thing too.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, well, that's true. Really, there are no losers.
We're all winners,
here, right?
exactly.
It's gonna be fun. And guys, one other thing I just want to quickly shout out is we've been working behind the scenes a little bit here, just working through our first few podcasts. We have a whole bunch of interest from you guys out there in Sandman Nation to sponsor some of these segments. And we're really excited to start sharing with you guys here in the coming weeks some great businesses with some great products, and and we'll be able to highlight some businesses. So if you're interested in sponsorship, reach out to us again, info@entersandmansports.com. We'd love to talk to you. And that's it for Nailed It.
Bill, that was an awesome segment. Really looking forward to that, and really looking forward to bringing the listeners in on this contest. As Bill said, we'll email us if you want more information. We'll also share more next week. That's when the contest will actually start, and we will have a section on our website where we will post our picks and we'll post the questions, and so we can follow along. Everybody can follow along both with what our picks are and with what our listeners' picks are too. And I just did a little bit of research, and I did find out, Pat, that the Taco Bell in Chanhassen has third highest rating Yelp rating in Minnesota for Taco Bell.
Incredible.
So I'm pretty excited about that possibility.
The Taco Bell in Chanhassen is, I think it's a local high school hangout. I think all the kids go there late night, and the drive-through is 15 cars deep all night long. It's a thing.
And Bierman, my question for you is, will we go to Skyline Chili? It doesn't necessarily have to be the place, but will we hit up Skyline if you win and we go to Cincinnati?
Yeah, so when I win, we absolutely will not be going to Skyline Chili for the contest. I think we all know that this is going to be – these are nice dinners. I want a nice bottle of wine. I want a nice juicy steak. I've already told you both, and for anybody who knows Cincinnati at all, Jeff Ruby's is really the only selection that will be chosen by me here. But of course, we will have Skyline for lunch. Or maybe after Jeff
Pre-game
Ruby's.
meal.
A little midnight snack too, Bill, as you witnessed the last time you were here.
I'm gonna tank on purpose. I need to get out of the house.
Pat's answering 0 for every numerical question. Oh, I lost. I'm coming to Cincinnati or Seattle.
I need a trip.
Oh, I love it.
All right, boys. This has been a very fun episode. Another great one. But sadly, it is time to exit Sandman Sports. We have come to the conclusion of our third podcast. Thank you to everyone for listening and supporting us. We have appreciated all the wonderful feedback. Please go to our website at entersandmansports.com. We have all of our podcasts there, quick hit videos, lots of articles, lots of fun and informative stuff. You can also follow us on X at _Sandman Sports. And please follow us and like our Facebook page at Enter Sandman Sports. Gentlemen, it's been another great show, and looking forward to week 2 in football, and we'll see you guys next week.
Don't forget to follow us on Pornhub as well.
What's our handle there?
Oh,
Michael
God.
Panic.
Don't encourage him. Wait, boys. Enjoy the football this weekend. If anybody wants to hit up Sandman Pools, mail me, bill@sandmanpools.com.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Peace out. See you guys.